Hello. Welcome to the party, pal.
That's
I had to,
fantastic.
I had to do that, right? I mean, I had to open this, right?
I'm still just absolutely enamored by your shirt. That is just amazing.
Mate, I saw you dialed in, and I was just kind of like, our jumper game today is spot on. We've nailed it. I'm very happy. Very happy. The sad thing is, I actually ordered this specially for this live stream. You know what I mean? I was like, I found it on Amazon. I was like, it has to happen. It's going to be bought. So there you
Yeah, I think I got this for my conference tour. What last year before? Right?
go. Love it. Love it.
I think
Um,
I think there was a year or a week of a year where I had conferences paying for my hotel stay just to talk about Die Hard, and it was just like, what is my life even right now? This is amazing.
I think, yeah, I was gonna say awesome would be the answer to that question, surely. I mean, if you can just tour around talking about Data and Die Hard, I mean, seriously, that's just that's peak career goals, right? Oh my god. But I mean, it's literally, these live streams are usually, we just talk and we don't really have a purpose. But today we're talking about Die Hard for like 1 hour. That's what's gonna happen. If anyone can do it, we can do it. I believe in us. But before we do that, would you like to like briefly introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and then yeah, sound good?
Sure.
Cool.
Hi Ben, I'm Matt Eland. I am a what am I now even? I'm a senior solutions developer two slash AI specialist at a consultancy called Leading Edge in Columbus, Ohio.
Nice.
I'm also a Microsoft MVP in artificial intelligence. I think in
Cool.
large part because of Die Hard. So, in talking about Die Hard and machine
Nice.
learning with it, but
Nice.
I do a lot of writing and the community stuff I used to teach. I just like to take whatever I can do and do it in
Mm.
the weirdest way as possible, and that included, determining that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
I mean, yeah, it's obviously. I mean, the goal is a good one as well, because it's something that we say quite often. Is it a Die Hard? Is it a Christmas movie? Is it not a Christmas movie? And it's a matter of opinion. It
Sure.
just means some people's opinion is wrong, right? And they have to live with their wrongness. So obviously, the work that you do doesn't entirely involve Die Hard. You do other stuff. I mean, and we respect that. We're probably not going to focus on so much tonight, and that's no disrespect for the body of work that you've done and the years of experience that you have. But I love the fact. I mean, how did you come to that? Was it just because you're sitting there at Christmas, or whatever you do when you watch Die Hard, and you're like, I can prove this to be factually correct?
Okay. So I was teaching, right? And my first goal was like, I got to get really good at the stuff I'm teaching, which wasn't too hard because I understood that stuff. And once I got comfortable with that, I was like, well, my students could ask me a lot of different questions about the parts of tech they're interested in. So I started taking like all these Azure fundamental certifications just to broaden my horizons.
Okay. Okay. Makes
And
sense.
I had taken the AI fundamentals exam, and I loved it. I nearly aced it. I still remember the question I missed, and I was half and half on which answer I was going to give. But anyway, the night before, I had taken and passed this thing, and so my wife and I are sitting on the couch, and we're just watching TV, and I was cruising Reddit as I do, and I
Mm.
find a meme about Die Hard. I'm like, I've known this lady for 9 years now. I don't know her opinion on Die Hard. Does she think it's a Christmas movie, or is she wrong? Uh, so I said, "Hey, honey, what do you think? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?" And she's like, Why would it be a Christmas movie?" I'm like, "Oh,
Oh,
oh, oh, oh,
wow.
oh, oh! Premarital counseling did not prepare us for this." Uh,
Absolutely. My God. These are
and so,
these are these are questions you should get out of the way before I propose to you. I have a much more important question.
in retrospect, yeah, that was important. Yeah. Um, but no, I'm like, "Hey," so she's like, "Why would it be?" It's like, well, it's got all these Christmas songs in it. It takes place at a Christmas party on Christmas Eve,
Mm.
and at its core, it's really just a movie about two people reconciling their estranged marriage, and that's really heartwarming in Christmas. And she's like, "Well, Matt, it has a kill count of 23. It was released in July, and there are over 50 f bombs. So like,
Yeah. Which
what are you smoking?"
which just makes it an even more awesome Christmas movie.
That's a valid point. And so I spent the next 3 days basically applying Azure Machine Learning Studio and machine learning to build a classifier that can
Mm.
determine, based on the traits of this movie, is it a Christmas movie or is it not a Christmas movie? So that's how I spent my Halloween weekend in 2020.
I
Uh,
love I love that. Very cool. It's funny. I mean, obviously, there's loads of different articles about this as well, and but for me, obviously, my opinion that doesn't involve getting data involved.
mhm.
The song that is played at the very start of the film when John gets picked up by Argyle and he puts on the tape, right?
Yep.
I think it's called Christmas in Hollis or something, or it's
Something like that. Yeah, it was something funky. I remember.
yeah, it's like I can't, maybe Run DMC. If that's incorrect, but it's something in Hollis. And he says, "Don't you have any Christmas music?" And Argyle says, "This is Christmas music." And I'm like, "Isn't that speaking about the film itself? Like, don't you have a Christmas film? This is a Christmas film. It's like it might be a bit different. It might not be like the normal, like beat the normal tone, but it
Yeah.
still has all the elements that you would consider a Christmas film. I mean, like it's the same with like Home Alone. It's the same like Home Alone.
Oh,
It's kind of like a watered down version of Die Hard, isn't it?
it really is. Yeah, would you phrase it that way? Yeah, you've got somebody waging a guerrilla war against the wet bandits, right? And
Right,
so yeah,
exactly,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. Hi, Gethin, by the way. Merry Christmas to you too. I hope you have a fantastic and wonderful and managed to watch, of course, Die Hard. So yeah, I mean, for me, I don't remember when I started thinking of Die Hard as a Christmas film. I've always loved the film, obviously, because I have no idea when I first watched it. Probably at some point. It was released, what, like, was it like early 90s or something? I don't know, actually.
94, I think, something like that. Yeah.
94. So I guess I was in 94. I was like 12, so I probably didn't watch it then. But it was probably like like late 90s or whatever.
Yep.
And you just whether you think it's Christmas or not, it's a pretty cool film. I don't know when it became tradition to watch it at Christmas. That's the weird thing. I didn't make a conscious decision. I just always thought that it was.
There were memes about it like 10, 15 years ago, and I remember
Yeah.
thinking, that's funny. And then the more I saw the memes, the more I'm like, you know what? These are true. Like this is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, exactly. It came out in '88. Okay, so
Yeah. Okay.
I definitely didn't watch it in '88 because I was born in '82. So that would have been a terrible decision. I think
Yeah.
my parents wouldn't have allowed that.
I watched the edited version on cable. I think the first time I saw like the unedited version, like, whoa.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's true. Actually, it's back in the day where films you'd watch them on like I'm not sure what it was called, like terrestrial TV in the UK, and they cut out so much stuff, and you watch
Yeah.
it for the first time, it's just kind of like, did that person's head really explode the first time I watched it? I can't remember. Can't remember that happening.
It's like, I don't remember nudity on this poster in the film.
I mean, to move away from Die Hard, but not just to a different film,
Sure.
really, which is Demolition Man. I know, which isn't a Christmas film. It isn't. I'll concede that point. Okay. Um, I I was watching Demolition Man on Amazon Prime a few weeks ago, and so there's a scene where they go to the Taco Bell. Yeah, so they go to Taco Bell, and they're like, "Why is it Taco Bell?" And it's because all restaurants are now Taco Bell for whatever. That's the
Oh,
version I've seen. But in this version, it's the European version, and they changed Taco Bell to Pizza Hut. But the thing is, you can see their mouth saying Taco Bell, and it's like Pizza Hut, and it's like, what's happening right now? And there's a car on the side. It says Taco Bell, and they've superimposed Pizza Hut over it. It's for European, or because we don't have Taco Bell, we have
yeah.
Pizza Hut. But the
Okay.
stupid thing is, all of my knowledge of America pretty much comes from popular culture, TV shows. I know weird stuff about the US because of films. Why do you think I couldn't handle Taco Bell? Why was that a step too far? You know?
I think it was more we wanted some advertising revenue for
Ah,
Burger King.
that's actually a good point. Actually, I don't know what that is true. Oh man, but yeah. So anyway, let's go down this journey that you went through. I saw before, like literally 5 minutes before we started the live stream. That's at your website. I posted the link before if anyone didn't see it.
Mm.
Check it out. There's really cool stuff there. You actually also have the PowerPoint deck uploaded so you can go through as well. So it's really like heavy analysis. So what was what was your starting point? First of all, where did you get the data from? By the way, because that's
So whenever I'm looking for anything hobbyist where I don't have
mm,
data sets of my own, I'll usually start by checking either Azure's open data sets, which have a lot of good data, but not a lot of it,
okay.
not a lot of variety. But
Mm,
more often I go to Kaggle, which is where I got this one.
makes sense. Okay, cool.
So I found a movies data set out there that had a lot of different CSV files representing different tables.
Mhm.
And it looked like it had enough interesting columns in there that it had enough information that could represent the content of the movie.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, it didn't have a column saying if it was a Christmas movie or not. But I'm like, let's start with this data set. This looks like my best data set I can start working with.
yeah.
And I can pull in more information if I need it.
Makes sense. And was it like did it start out based on like themes, like topics of the film or script, like pulling keywords, all this type of stuff?
That was kind of what I figured was going to be a good candidate for an early model. Would be something like the release month, maybe the director or maybe the studio, something like that.
Mm, mm,
Also, maybe something in the tagline or title, or
mm. Makes sense.
the final model that I worked with, it really keyed mostly off of the keywords.
Okay.
Um, but I figured like all these genre things could potentially impact its predictions, and so
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just wanted to throw the data at the model and just see what it
Just see what it
gravitated towards.
spits out,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
But actually, it was released in like June, July, right? Is this true? I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
July.
So yeah. I
I
mean
didn't remember
that
the year, but it's definitely July.
that fair enough. That would for me would be the biggest argument against it being a Christmas film. Like,
Yeah.
not many Christmas films are released in in the middle of summer.
Yeah,
Um,
that's when your action movies come out, so yeah.
yeah. But it's also like going to proving, disproving. I'm not sure if it's the same in the US, but in the UK, I mean, I don't live in the UK, but that's where I'm from. Um, the big deal there is always like the Christmas number one, like what's going to be the number one song at Christmas, right?
Mm.
In the charts. And I think one of the most famous ones. It's again from like the mid '90s, probably, and I forget the name of the band. If there's someone in English in the chat that can remind me, I think it's called like "Stay Another Day." East 17. I think it's by East 17, right? And a band you never heard of because they were very UK based and like totally shit.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm musically illiterate, so,
oh,
there
okay,
you go.
fair enough. It's just a normal song, but they're just like jingling bells in the background. That's it.
What?
It's like I don't think they mentioned Christmas at all in this song, but they're all dressed. I think they might have even remade the video, but they're all dressed in white and stuff, and they're just like jingling bells. There's nothing to do, not like Mariah Carey, "All I Want for Christmas
Sure.
Is You," which is it's right there in the title. So again, you can do very subtle things to make it Christmassy. And I also what I enjoyed, there's an article. I should have saved all these links, but I'm very ill prepared. There's one, and the title of the article was basically "Die Hard is a Christmas movie for the same reasons that Die Hard 2 isn't a Christmas movie, because Die Hard 2 is also set at Christmas, right?
It is, yeah, and it involves, what, planes and landing on the airstrip.
Exactly.
But I've not seen that one as much as I have seen the original.
No one has, and that's also the correct thing to do.
But I
Uh,
enjoyed it. I remember I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy 3
Decent
that much,
film.
but I enjoyed 2. Yeah.
Oh, really? You actually prefer 2 to 3? That's
I
interesting.
I feel like I did, yeah.
That's right. Okay, we'll get into that in a second. I like that.
Yeah.
So basically it says that because 2 is more based on like patriotism and
Mm.
soldiers and war and vengeance and stuff. These are like no Christmas themes at all. And as you said before, you've got like reconciliation, family, a person, going to his wife and seeing his kids, and that
Yeah.
that big embrace at the end, and they're all like all the togetherness and love and joy and bleeding feet. I don't know.
Yeah, and
Um,
machine guns, yes.
and machine guns, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that also made sense to me. I never thought about that because I had asked myself. I think it's why I googled it, like why therefore isn't 2 a Christmas film?
Mm.
Um, but I'm curious about this point. What was it about 3 that you didn't enjoy? Die Hard with a Vengeance, I should say.
Yeah. Well, it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I
Ah,
just
okay, okay.
I preferred 2 more, and I think it's because 1 and 2 have really a single place that they're localized in,
Ah,
versus
okay.
3, they're really driving all over town, right? Looking for
Yeah,
bombs and all that stuff, right?
that's true. That's true.
I love the camaraderie there. That was great.
Yeah, it was cool. It
But
was
1 and 2, it felt more like, hey, we're under siege here. We
Mhm.
gotta fix this thing before
Yeah.
bad things happen.
Have you ever did you ever watch the US, I mean the US version here, for me the US version of The Office?
Yes.
So one of my favorite things, and there's a episode where I want to say David Brent. Okay, this is ridiculous. Not David Brent, obviously the main character. Michael
Jim,
Scott.
I think.
Michael
Okay,
Scott.
Mike.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, one of the main characters.
Sure.
He's working a side job in a call center, and everyone's quiet around him. He's talking, and he's talking about Die Hard. And I love this scene so much because I was like, damn, that's so true. And he says the first Die Hard is amazing because you got this guy John McClane, and he's just like a normal cop. He's battered, he's bloody, he's bleeding, and he's just like he's getting his ass kicked essentially.
Yeah.
But he prevails, he wins. And he says by the time you get Die Hard 4, or I think it was called Live Free or Die Hard in the US,
Yeah.
he's this super cop, and he's like basically launching like motorbikes at helicopters and all this. And I was like, yeah, that's true, man. Everything. He's essentially like the Terminator, but
Yeah.
not from the future. You know, the
It loses the
entire
stakes. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it can do essentially no wrong. And of course, no one watched Die Hard 5 set in Russia. That was just a complete show.
I forget that the ones after 3 exist.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, I was disappointed because in the fourth one in the UK or Europe was called, I think it was just called Die Hard 4.0, but in the US it was called Live Free or Die Hard.
Yep.
Which was just a much cooler title.
Yeah, but it still didn't make up for the movie.
Oh no, it was still pretty bad. It was still pretty terrible for sure. Yeah, and at these moments, you know, when you have the bad guy, the Hans Gruber, he was such a class. This is thing as well, actually. Does that somehow? Because you also mentioned before about having a high body count.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, therefore, what is the Christmas film, which is universally agreed upon as a Christmas film, with the highest body count?
Well, I can tell you that.
Oh yeah,
That would,
please.
that would be White Christmas, because it takes place during the Battle of the Bulge. So canonically, all the deaths during the Battle of the Bulge are deaths during White Christmas. White Christmas has a higher kill count than Die Hard by far.
That is
and fewer Christmas songs.
True, that's a good point. But yet it's still considered. That's interesting.
Yeah, so this is I'm stealing here from Steven D'Souza, the screenwriter from Die Hard, who made a comparison between White Christmas and Die Hard, and just said, like, look, on if we look at the data here, Die Hard is more of a Christmas movie than White Christmas is. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know. I mean, if the people who made the film are also like agreeing, then come on. I mean, but I know John and Bruce Willis is on
Yes.
record as saying that it's not a Christmas movie.
Well, sure, but that's sort of like saying, like, hey, are we doing this live stream together? In saying irrelevant, it's Friday. Like, it could be a Bruce Willis movie and an action movie. It could be a Bruce Willis movie and a thriller. It could be a Bruce Willis movie and a Christmas movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, these are not exclusive categories. I don't dispute that Bruce Willis was in it, and it was a better movie for it.
Yeah, sure. I think it's just because I think there's a video of him at some kind of roast saying that Die Hard is not a Christmas film, but that's still just his opinion. He's just an actor, you know what I mean? It's like he didn't write, he didn't make it. He's an actor in the film. I mean, for me, I mean, I named this live stream the Christmas special. Is it particularly Christmassy? Not really. Are we wearing Santa hats? Is there Christmas music in the background? But you have a Christmas tree on your jumper. We're using exactly this one in the background there. We're using the word Christmas many times. I mean, and the same, like I'm finished actually. I was drinking a gin and tonic, and that for me is a very Christmas drink. Not for other people, but it is for me because I only really ever drink it at Christmas. Kind of. That's a lie. But mostly I drink it at Christmas. So it's all in the perception of what it what it means to you and the mood that it puts you in,
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we all have our seasonal traditions, and like I was telling Bill earlier, every Thanksgiving in the States, out come the board games for me up until a little after New Year's, and it's just it's sort of a seasonal thing.
Do you still give this like session or presentation? Do you still you've retired it?
So I don't travel a whole lot for speaking, and so every year I submit different sessions to really the same conferences in my region, because I care a lot about the global community, but particularly around my community around Ohio and Southern United States.
That's nice. Makes sense.
So I tend to send them a new talk every year, but I'll give a talk to a conference once to accept or reject, and then I'll move on to other things.
That's cool. That makes sense. It's yeah. I mean, it's nice, of course, to mix it up a little bit as well. And sorry, just to Kevin knows, didn't realize it was a drink and live stream. So a shot every time Christmas is said, mate. That's I would be very
I I am not a medical professional.
yeah
If I was, I would not recommend that.
yeah. Maybe a sip. You know, I mean, I don't want to be held responsible for any hangovers or worse. You know, and also I'm finished mine and I don't have any more here. But you feel free to do so. I was saying but before we started the live stream, I was saying that one thing that I inherited from my parents is that as soon as I have like a single sip of alcohol, my face goes like this purple. I can't hide it. Like
Mm.
everyone knows when I've had a drink because my face immediately goes purple. It's so annoying. Really can't hide it. So yes, but please feel free as ever. And also, if it's not an appropriate drinking time at your, you know, region of the world or whatever, it is. It's Christmas time, and therefore day drinking is completely legitimate. Okay,
So if
so
you get fired, talk to Ben.
oh yeah, that's. I guess if you're still working, clear it with your boss first. You know, I don't know. I can't be held responsible for these things. Oh my god, yeah, or exactly, or Die Hard, exactly, Hangovers or Die Hard. But basically, the sessions that you give, of course, on whole Die Hard. But you said you're an MVP for AI, yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
how long have you been an MVP for AI, if I may ask?
They accepted me for the first time this last March. Actually, it was on my
Oh,
anniversary. So it's like, hey, honey, yeah, our anniversary just got weird. But
yeah.
yeah,
Congratulations, that's very cool.
yeah, it's been an honor. Um, it's really validated a lot of the work I've done and helped me do more work and get early access to other things to
I can
help
imagine.
teach more. So I really like that. You know,
I
that's a lot
bet.
of fun.
I bet.
Uh,
Were you an MVP for other things before
no,
that? Okay,
no.
so you went straight with it.
No,
Okay.
I think I might have come close a few years ago before I started teaching, but my
Mm.
energy went from public content to making sure I was a good teacher, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
um,
I get it.
but no, it's been fantastic, really, to make an impact on folks,
I can imagine.
and I really do think a lot of it was because of this project, because I got to give this
Mm,
talk at so many places.
yeah.
Um, and I like, man, this conference accepted me to talk about Die Hard. What are they on?
Yeah.
Like why would you accept me? This is awesome. But it's a talk about machine learning in general. It's just talk about classification and
Mm,
understanding that we're trying to predict a category something is in,
yeah.
and it's a talk about dealing with obstacles in machine learning, and you know, what happens when your model doesn't have the accuracy you want it to have, and how do you improve things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And for me personally, this is really how I got to be like a data scientist from a hobbyist. So
Yeah.
it kind of grew up over that weekend. And
But it shows the importance of having these like passion projects, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because you can, if I'm not sure, like, you know, what your work you're doing on the day to day, but if you can have the day, even already, all it takes really is one data set that you can dive into and do some good work with. And I mean, for me, I think since 2017, pretty much all of my private work, all of my private tinkering and stuff has just again also been on one data set, you know? And it really helps to have that. And also, like, I mean, you said yourself, you know, I mean, oh my god, I've been accepted to talk about Die Hard. That's crazy. But it
yeah.
also it's good for the whatever, for the conference or the user groups, whatever, as well, because it just grabs that attention.
Mhm.
I personally, I mean, I haven't done a huge amount of talking. Most of it's just been online and stuff. But I I had this conscious moment where I kind of switched just stuff like session titles, and it didn't even have to be so much the content. Of me was a little bit the content, but also just like how I'm presenting the same topic, you know? Like I
Okay.
am, a lot of it was like I was talking about. I do a lot of talking about like Deneb and Power BI and Vega Lite and stuff,
Yep.
and it was just very like plain text, you know, like or whatever Deneb this, and I just came up with the idea to change it to like what was it? Yeah, goodbye to visual shite, hello Vega Lite, you know? Um,
Yeah. It's amazing what a good title will do for you
yeah,
for getting someone to read your abstract and then okay, all right, this is what we're talking about. But
exactly,
yeah, I
exactly.
have a talk I've given a number of times this year on I call it automating my dog with Azure AI Studio, which is like it sounds like I
Mm.
should be locked up for like animal cruelty, but it's really more how AI services can do all the things my dog commonly does, like walk out the window and listen to my words and
Yeah,
speak because it can do speech synthesis and the like. And
yeah.
but it's just a ridiculous talk, and I have this little stuffed dog I set up and a little webcam and a speaker under its chin, and it's just the most ridiculous talk you've ever seen.
Love
But
it.
it's like, hey, here's what we can do with AI.
And it's because it's also interesting applications,
Yep,
and people like to be able to connect with things. So again, it's about like a dog thing, and people like it sounds interesting. And I would say, if I saw a list of topics, if I saw a data science topic about Die Hard, obviously I'm more likely to go and see it because many people love this film. You know,
yep, yep,
whether I mean, a lot of people suck. Of course, some people might hate it, but whether you think it's a Christmas movie or not, if you have that opinion, you'll still if whichever one it is, you'll still probably like the film. You
yep.
know, I mean, this is also like I mean, I used to watch and still do sometimes this Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. I
This
was thinking that with yeah, Jake Peralta. He was inspired by Die Hard to become a cop.
exactly, and it's Die Hard is such a recurring theme from this film, and I wouldn't be surprised, certainly for the younger audience, if like your Die Hard got more, people heard of it through watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, if like because obviously people my age, our age, I'm not sure how
Yep.
old you are, but roughly the same.
Yeah, a couple years older than you, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, if you're kind of like just 17 now, whatever, 16, I'm not sure what the legal limit is to watch this film, but it doesn't really matter. Like, oh, what's this Die Hard film? And then see that, and then see your talk. Like, okay, that's very cool. I like it. One second, I'm gonna go 2 questions here, or 2 comments, I should say. First of all, let's go to Donald. The early Tom Cruise film, The Firm, is kind of like Mission Impossible with realistic eyes, but not a Christmas film. Is it set at Christmas though? The early Tom Cruise film, The Firm, kind of like Mission Impossible, but realistic.
I think he's making a comparison between it and Mission Impossible. So it is to Mission Impossible, like Die Hard is to a Christmas movie.
Okay, I understand. I get it. That makes sense. Donald. Data science is statistics plus machine learning.
Yeah, so machine learning is really all about statistics. It's really all about shrinking statistics to fit your problem set and
Okay.
sort of memorizing the trends and things like that. Data science is this larger umbrella
Mm,
that includes machine learning and includes some other things as well. And then artificial intelligence includes all of data science. So you have kind of like these nested circles of these categories.
okay.
Um, but most of the time when we're talking about data science, we're talking about machine learning.
Okay. I did not know that. That's quite interesting.
Yeah,
I remember at my previous employer, we had like data scientists, and they were making calculations. They say, okay, for example, say on X date we did so many number of sales, but then also what are our expected sales based on returns and all this type of stuff.
yep,
And it was just to understand what was going on behind that calculation.
yep.
Maybe it took me longer than it should have done, perhaps. I'm not sure. But it was always just kind of like, okay, so this is the figure, and then we have here all the data science magic, and then here we have the end result. Is it difficult to sometimes to like regarding documentation to explain the calculation, what it does and how it does it? Is that like a barrier sometimes to?
Sure it is. But the other conception here is that
Mm,
it's not one algorithm, right?
mm,
When I was saying I'm doing machine learning to classify Die Hard, what I'm really doing is I'm evaluating a lot of different algorithms
mm,
for classification
mm.
and a lot of different hyperparameters for those algorithms. And I'm trying to find the overall one that performs the best as far as whatever you define the best as.
Mm.
For this experiment, I said, hey, I want the thing that's most accurate at positive predictions and negative predictions. So I had to choose what metric was important to me. So for me, that was the F1 score, which is kind of this harmonic mean between precision and recall. Not to get too deep into statistics,
No, please go
but
for it. It's all good.
but you got all these different models, right? All these different candidate models,
Mm,
um, and you have to select which one that you're going to be using to generate your predictions. And at the time I did this experiment, I was a baby data scientist, right? Like there was the learning curve for this stuff is so high, and like, okay, I know I want to do classification. I don't understand all the mathematics of all these different algorithms.
mm,
Um, and the thing that really did it for me was Azure's automated machine learning. says, "Hey, what's your data set?
Mhm.
What's the task you're trying to do?" And it basically takes this data science shotgun and it fires it at the wall and it tries all these different algorithms and all these different hyperparameters for the algorithms. It says, "Hey, based on this data set, based on your choices, I think that this one's the one you want to evaluate a little bit more." And so I'm like, okay, it gave me a linear support vector machine. What the heck is that? And now I'm doing some Googling, right? And here's some metrics behind it. And I'm like, okay, well, now I'm doing some Googling on those metrics and trying to figure out how, like, what does this even
Pretty
mean?
cool.
So for me, this was kind of like a guided learning experience
Yeah.
where it held my
Understand.
hand. I didn't have to learn a whole lot of stuff,
Mm.
but I learned a lot of things through this project,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I understand that.
Um,
Yeah.
and since then, I've learned a lot more about like
Mm.
what's the mathematics behind all this stuff. What's the difference between the X and Y?
Mm.
There's a difference between doing something for fun and doing something in the production environment. Um,
Of course.
and firing data science shotgun at the wall, that's fine for Die Hard, right? It's less fine if I'm rejecting your credit card application, right? Uh,
Fair
but
enough, yeah.
but it really helped me learn a lot about like
Mm.
what's out there, right? And learning what I needed to learn more of in the
Yeah.
years since then.
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, that's really helped a lot.
I think that's also one of the beauty of these tools that are available to us now, that a lot of the stuff that you can start off doing is just kind of say, "We have this tool that can do that for me," and then you look at what it's done, how it's done it, why it's done it, and then if you're the sort of person who wants to, you don't have to, you can dig down into that. You can decide, "Okay, this is really interesting. How do I take this further? Understand what's going on behind that curtain, if you will. Pull the
Yep.
curtain back." Maybe that's a Wizard of Oz reference. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
And yeah, okay. And then that you kind of go into that role, to a lesser extent. I mean, from my world, I mean, much lesser extent. If you look at like something like Power Query, it does all this stuff for you. You just click on it and it does it. And if you want,
Mhm.
you can kind of look at the code and understand it and how you can build on that and make it more advanced and all. So I think
Yeah.
it's one of the joys of these kind of like more modern tools. It aids your learning, and I think
Yeah.
this is why stuff like AI and data in general is just much more accessible.
And it pairs really nicely with things like Power BI and
Mm,
data visualization in general, because like you can build a model off of something, but you don't really want to build that model until you know what factors are likely to be
yeah,
correlated with each other, right? So
yeah,
being able to do a nice scatter plot or histogram or correlation matrix can really help you
yeah,
before you even start machine learning.
yeah, for
'Cause
sure.
you invariably will need to clean your data set. Because I had in this movies data set, I had movies there that were, hey, this movie has a runtime of thousands of hours. I'm like, what? And it wound up being like a series of Major League Baseball that was in this data set somehow. I'm like, okay, well, no, we're getting rid of this, and you're always doing data cleaning.
Yeah, that is true. It's just one of the things that like there really isn't a data set that exists on the planet that doesn't need some form of cleaning.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, and even if you have a pristine data set at your organization, you're gonna have a bug some month that causes data to get corrupted,
Yeah,
and between 2 days, and then yeah, you'll
yeah,
have to clean that.
for sure. Have you, it's a question from Donald again. Have you done much data science in Fabric yet? Have you gone down that path?
If that's for me, I've not touched fabric at all.
Yeah, fair enough. So I can
I
understand
wear
that.
shirts; they're made of fabric, but that's about as close as I get. Sorry.
All good. They chose the name, okay? So they opened themselves to that joke. So
It's a good name. I haven't used it much.
fair enough. So um, I'm not sure. I don't think it's a good name. I think it's a weird name, to be honest. It's just I don't like the fact that unless you put Microsoft in front of it, you're not going to find anything relevant.
Okay, that's
It's
fair. Yeah.
it's like I'm not sure. Like for example, oh, it's like M
Yep.
language and Power Query. It's like why call it M? It's the most annoying thing to Google. You know.
Yep. 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 There's
I
something
mean,
else you can
obviously,
say.
they weren't naming the language for based on its Googleability or Bingability if you're working for Microsoft, I suppose.
Yeah.
But still,
Just
it's
just don't use Bing in the past tense. That's all I can tell you.
I just got that.
Yep.
Like, I never thought about that, and now I'll never forget it. Oh
I was
man.
on with a Microsoft employee for a talk they were giving, and they called it Microsoft Google, and I'll never forget that. And,
Oh, that's fantastic. I was just thinking before about all these like the Christmas things and the associations that you make and you never forget. When my
Mhm.
daughter was like probably, I don't know, let's say 4 years old. She was young basically.
Mm.
This song, and Jingle Bell Rock, Jingle Bell,
Sure.
Jingle
Yeah.
Bell. Yeah. Every time I think of it now, it's just the first time my daughter, she was like, Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell, cock, and I was like, nope.
Probably not.
I
Not
was
the
like,
version I'm thinking of.
not particularly, no. But every time I hear that song now, I think of her
Yep.
just singing Jingle Bell Cock.
Yeah, yeah. My little sister, 14 years younger than me,
Okay.
she mistook saying the American restaurant Cracker Barrel. She called it Crapper Barrel, and I can never unhear that.
Yeah. There was the mispronunciation that I remember the most was the kid of a friend of mine. I don't even know if I can say it on the live stream. If anyone, put it this way: if you can think about it, he mispronounced popcorn.
Okay.
It's a spoonerism on popcorn.
Yep, I gotcha.
Yeah,
I
and
gotcha.
every single time I think of popcorn, I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ, man, that's ruined popcorn popcorn for me."
It's
Yeah,
been a long time since I heard the term spoonerism. Thank you for mentioning that, Ben. I appreciate that.
it is. It's such a wonderful word. I
Yes,
love
it
it
is.
so much.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those words that you hear it and then
Uh-huh.
you intentionally remember it. So yeah, it's very good.
For those listening who are not familiar, it's named after Professor Spooner, who would swap words swap the first letter of two different words.
Yeah. And
So
that's the spoonerism, the classic example for me. I've mentioned this before. Like I often, not often, but more often than you'd imagine, I'll email someone, and my name is called Ben Ferry, and they'll respond back and they'll call me Fenberry. So the classic spoonerism. How they mistake Ben Ferry to Fenberry, I'll never understand. It's the most basic name that can exist, but it happens.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it happens. Um, I wonder. I mean, do you have any other data sciencey projects with new interesting data sets lined up? I'm curious.
I am working more on an AI project right now. So I use little bobbleheads for all my little
Ah,
uh,
cool.
projects. So I've done Die Hard, several times now. So this is the first one with automated ML, and then I did it again using the Python SDK. And
Nice.
so I celebrate my projects with these
That's a
bobbleheads.
good idea. I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, I got a whole shelf of them. I got Wreck It Ralph for my book. I just published refactoring with C# this year, and so I like Wreck It Ralph. It has to be Wreck It Ralph.
Yeah,
Um, a lot of my
brilliant.
time right now is going on building the Bat computer with a semantic kernel, so kind of a conversational AI thing with large language models.
That's cool.
Um, and then I've been working on some content for LinkedIn Learning with computer vision. So I'm doing some computer vision courses, a computer vision course for them. So I've got vision and also vision, but from WandaVision.
Yeah,
So that's my little thing right now that I'm doing a lot of.
that's a
Um,
great idea.
I've done as far as your question on data science data sets. I did some analysis of Doctor Who to say like what would it take to actually make Doctor Who good, because it hasn't been for a while. And my model came out with, hey, we should bring David Tennant back.
No way. That's really interesting.
And we did.
That's great.
Yeah,
So just so I love Doctor Who.
yeah,
I absolutely. So I love that you brought that up right now.
yeah,
I agree though. It's been I felt really bad. Was it the actor Jodie Whittaker? Is that her name?
yeah, yeah. That's her name.
I felt very bad for her because I found like I as an actor I think she's fantastic, but the script was the stories were very poor.
I feel like they've lost for a while what makes Doctor Who a good show.
Yeah.
And with that second of the three, particularly with David Tennant coming back, like, oh, this is you found Doctor Who again. This is really encouraging.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think I told you I think the second one. So I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
oh,
There,
you're
man.
fine.
Um, it had it had it kind of had vibes of Midnight.
Yes,
The
yes, it
one,
did. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
which
I
is a
love that. I love that episode.
brilliant episode.
Yeah,
If Doctor Who, and I really, I'm not the sort of person who has any issue with the TV shows addressing the societal, points, topics, but
sure.
it just came really, I for me, quite didactic is the word I'm looking for, and just like overly preachy, overly forcing stuff, and it was a bit too much sometimes, and it just
Yeah,
felt weird.
I hear you. I agree with you. There's some good examples of Doctor Who doing this well, though, right?
That's
Like
true. Yeah.
the episode with Matt Smith and the space whale. I love that one.
Oh yeah, that's really good. Yeah,
Because
that's true.
I can't even remember the moral it was even telling. And there's another example of, it's not even Doctor Who, but Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. It was this,
Love
you
that.
got that kid at the heart of that society, and it's like, okay, we're
Yeah.
talking about these deep societal issues through science fiction while telling a good story, and
Yeah.
that's what Doctor Who should be about, and it
Yeah.
shouldn't be the moral we're trying to tell, but that really should be core
Mm.
at the end, but it should be just more like these, using it to tell a profound story.
Complete. And I think I agree with that. I think it's a kind. It was too exactly. It was too. It wasn't subtle enough. It was just
Yeah.
very much there. Actually, there's an example of them doing it very well to an extent on the first of the 3 specials that just came
Mhm.
out. I
Yep.
loved what they did with the binary non-binary of the Dr. Donna and her daughter. You know, they had her daughter Rose who chose a name based on experiences. So that the binary non-binary, I think that they did it wonderfully. I thought it was quite a beautiful moment actually. Just actually, it's quite funny. I just point out right now. If there was one TV show that you could have mentioned that would make me lose focus on Die Hard, it's Doctor Who. So, I love that you did that. I love it.
Yes. Well, yeah. No, I got a Matt Smith with a Fez bobblehead over there for
Love
that
it.
data set. I've done another data set exploration, trying to figure out what would. I was trying to predict the number of penalties in minutes in a American hockey game based on 2 teams, and whether or not it's a playoff game.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting. That's
that
really
that
cool.
model didn't turn out to be a viable model. Just I didn't
Okay.
have the details of the data set, but
Yeah.
it was an interesting premise. I'm going to revisit it at
Yeah,
some point.
for sure.
Oh,
I
but
think
before we run out of time, I should
just
probably
sort
share
of
the results of my
yes,
my Die
sorry,
Hard
please.
experiment.
Of course. I'm sorry, mate. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're fine. No, it did wound up. The model had a very, very high accuracy. The final model did, where it was. I can't remember the exact metrics, and they vary based on which time I'm running the experiment, because I've done it about 10 times now.
Okay.
But it's usually around 98% accuracy, and it tends to have a model that's more likely to say a Christmas movie is not a Christmas movie than one that a non-Christmas movie is a Christmas movie. If that makes sense.
Okay. So
'Cause
if a film is a Christmas film, like
mhm.
say whatever, and it
Elf.
was Elf, it was more likely said that that film is not a Christmas film.
Well, so there's 2 mistakes you can make, right?
Okay.
Type 1, type 2. You got your false positive and your false negative. False
Okay.
positive is say, like, yes, this is a Christmas movie when it's not.
Mm.
False negative is no, this isn't a Christmas movie when it is.
Yeah.
So my model was more likely to say no, this isn't a Christmas movie when
Okay.
it
I
actually
understand.
was.
Okay. Okay.
But the model predicted that Die Hard was a Christmas movie with about a 97-98% certainty. So
Wow.
if we were doing a standard p-test, we could reject the null hypothesis that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie at the 0.05 confidence level, the 5% confidence level.
Brilliant.
So like, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, what can we do now to say that Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie? What can I
Mm.
change about Die Hard to make it not a Christmas movie? And
Mm.
it turns out if you remove the keyword of Christmas party and Christmas Eve, it's no longer considered a Christmas movie. But that's a very different film because those are kind of core things about that story.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
P-test.
I love it.
And again, I'm not a urologist, so no medical advice here.
So I mean that yeah, exactly. So basically what it was trying to say is if it
Yeah,
wasn't set at Christmas,
yeah,
it wouldn't be a Christmas film.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
With Die Hard, yeah, it would just
Makes
be
sense.
a film, an action thriller about a husband and wife reconciling, and that's okay. That's really a good movie.
This
But
is yeah.
the Christmas flavor, I think, added a lot to it, and it definitely said, "Hey, here's why the building is so empty. Here's why these people are here."
Mm.
That kind of thing.
And also, I guess, I mean, that also, the film being set at Christmas also then influences very other key stuff. Like there are Christmas songs
Yep,
in the film, you know?
yep. And your
Um,
lovely festive shirt there,
exactly. And
And my favorite movie hacker of all time, and I can't even remember the guy's name. I always forget his name. But the terrorist, no, sorry, not terrorist.
not terrorist.
The robber, who took the chainsaw to the phone lines.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah, it's very cool.
His actor died the last few years.
Oh, really?
But
Okay.
yeah, I love that character. I can't remember his name. I don't remember.
Like
Um,
the actor or the character? The actor. Okay.
the actor, the actor.
Ah, I can't remember. Sorry.
Uh, um,
The no, but you're not about Hans Gruber. You're talking about the blonde guy,
no. I'm talking about the. I gotta Google his name
Carl
now.
or something or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Or Carl or Carl's brother.
Um,
Oh, good. Actually, when you're doing that, I'll tell you one thing that's not particularly that related to Die Hard though. The one person, go for it. You got it. You got it.
Theo.
Theo. Oh, right. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And he goes in and he's kind of talking about some kind of American football game or something, and
Yep.
and him passes to that. There's some sport called Worthy, and Worthy does this, and then I don't know who Worthy is, but I'm sure it's some kind of a famous American footballer or just
No
famous
idea.
footballer. Yeah. The guy who I think did he say what's the character's called?
His name is Theo.
Theo. The guy who Theo kills, I think it's the guy on reception. Yeah.
Yep.
And
His friend killed him. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Theo distracts him, but
yeah, something like that. But that's the moment he's killed, basically.
Yeah.
In this film, if one character deserved to be killed, it was that dude. Because every time I watch Die Hard, it drives me nuts. Because John McClane goes and he taps on this machine and he's like, and he types in whatever, and then
he started looking for his wife's name.
Yeah, Gennaro, and he's get upset because he changed the name, whatever. He's like, Jesus Christ, whatever. And then he goes 30th floor, and the guy's, yeah, the only one's left in the building. It's like, why didn't you just say that then, man? You just the poor guy. He just broke his heart. Yeah. And it's like it's like why do you make him go the long way around? And it's just what a dick. You just try and be it's just do your job. And then he gets killed, so he deserves. I also wonder, Argyle. He says at one part of the film, remember that when you sign up for the tip. Yeah, because he says he's a good guy or whatever. And it's a weird thing to wonder, but I always wonder. I wonder what type of tip Argyle actually got in the end there. Because he played a key role in this film. He waited for ages in the back of the car, like having a drink with his big teddy bear and what have you. And I hope Argyle gets his tip. I mean, that's important for me.
But I'm not sure I should be the one to break it to you, but this is actually a movie.
No. There's a sequel, so they go on and live their lives.
Oh,
okay?
I see.
In the extended universe, Argyle somewhere still exists. Okay.
Maybe canonically, John McClane stiffed him on the tip. Let's just go with that.
You forgot all about it, right?
Yeah. He had a busy night. Okay.
Don't ruin it for me, man. Oh, amazing! But that's interesting. To go back to your point. So, in 97% certainty that it actually is indeed a Christmas film.
Mm-hmm. But it started out like with this model that just always predicted nothing is a Christmas movie because this data set had like so many movies that were just not a Christmas movie, right?
Yeah.
Like because most movies aren't. And I populated it with like, hey, you're a Christmas movie if you appear on like at least two of these lists of popular Christmas movies. And so I had to sort of reduce the amount of non-Christmas movies in that data set, just so you wouldn't have as severe of a class imbalance. Nowadays, I'd probably use something like Smote to sort of upsample the Christmas movies by creating artificial ones. But that's what I chose to do a couple years ago.
Based on that model, what you created, were there any films that are universally agreed upon as Christmas films that it said actually on Christmas films? Did you?
Yes, but I don't know which ones.
Oh, okay.
I didn't look into the data that much, but I know from the metrics, from it getting false negatives.
Okay.
There were ones that it definitely disagreed with. I'd have to dig into that data.
Are there any Christmas films, in your opinion, that are accepted as Christmas films, but you decided that aren't? Are there any like that's not really a Christmas film?
No, but there were a few ones that surprised me from this process, right?
Okay.
Like A Nightmare Before Christmas is a Christmas movie. I'd also say it's also a Halloween movie. But the one that really surprised me was Gremlins. I don't think of Gremlins as a Christmas movie, but it absolutely is. Like nobody thinks about it as, but it totally is. It's a Christmas gift.
I think it's one of those things that I think it's just not as popular, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think when you think about the film and you watch it, you can't look at it and you realize it is. And there are Christmas trees everywhere. As you say, it's a Christmas gift. Does it have I haven't seen it that many times and not for a while. Does it have those underlying themes of like, people coming back together as a family, being united, or
I don't remember. Gremlins was weird because it's this franchise that was very popular, but its
Mm,
popularity didn't last as the decades went on.
yeah,
Versus, Die Hard, John Carpenter's things. There's some things that actually just grew over
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And it
It's true.
didn't feel like Gremlins was like that.
Yeah, it's true. I think I've seen Gremlins. I mean, how many Gremlins movies were there? Maybe two, three, maybe.
There was at least two.
Yeah,
I feel like there were three,
yeah.
but I only remember seeing two of them.
Maybe it's one of those franchises where you kind of intentionally forget them, the end parts. Like again, Die Hard, you kind of try and forget 4 and 5. The Matrix, you kind of hopefully try and forget 2 and 3.
I really wish at some point they make a sequel to Jurassic Park. I feel like that was too good for them to only have one movie.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree with that.
yeah,
Absolutely. It really it was such a film with amazing, and then they just left it there,
yeah,
didn't
no
they?
sequels. Yeah,
Yeah.
Michael Crichton didn't even write a second book.
No, absolutely not. Actually, today was just on this topic. I was thinking, I would like to watch this TV show Heroes again.
That's a good
And
one.
I was watching, and I was thinking, I was just kind of such a shame they only made one series of that.
Yeah, it really is a shame they only made one season.
God, terrible stuff they did. Actually,
It was an amazing season.
it was so good though. It was so good. I remember like in my teenage years or my early 20s, or probably my early 20s actually. Really it being in such denial that I tried my best to convince myself that the Matrix sequels were any good, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
that was a common thing. Yep.
yeah, I really tried my best. But I go back and watch them now, and it was like I think at the time there was a kind of like a Matrix kind of versus Lord of the Rings trilogy kind of what's best. I'm not sure if you like that sort of film, but you go back now and Lord of the Rings is just so infinitely better as a sequel than the Matrix, just because of 2 and 3 were actually good, basically.
I Matrix 2 hurt me so bad I didn't even give 3 a chance.
Oh, really? Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah.
really interesting.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh, this is so disappointing.
Yeah, it was bad.
Um,
Did you watch?
the action was good. It just wasn't as compelling of a story, right?
No,
And
well, yeah,
that's getting back to our Doctor Who discussion. You got to have a compelling story at the heart of anything, or else it just doesn't matter.
exactly.
And I think that's part of what makes Die Hard great is it had a very compelling story. It's
Mm,
very tight.
mm,
There's moments of levity, there's moments of action, there's moments of
mm.
suspense, and it had a lot.
Yeah, completely agree. I have to watch a film now, by the way. I have to watch Die Hard. I mean, I think, as I said, I'm not sure if I said it when we before or after we started the live stream. I've seen it 1.5 times,
Uh,
just because I fell asleep the second time. Um,
Last year or year before, right before I did my great Die Hard conference tour, I'm like, okay, well, I gotta watch Die Hard again. And I'm like, whoa, whoa.
yeah. Have,
um,
have have you got a little bit sick of watching it though? Did you have to like have a like a couple of years out from watching?
it's not one I watch every year.
Okay.
I know that's somewhat sacrilege from someone
No.
who in some degree or another has a professional reputation built around the movie.
Yeah, true.
But no, it's not one I watch every year.
Fair enough, son. Like that's understandable. Yeah, I think there are some things that you need a break from, and then you go back. Yeah, that is actually pretty cool. But and then
Yeah,
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 that's reasonable.
yeah.
Aye, very cool. Mate, sorry, we're coming up
You're
to
fine.
time, and it's almost Christmas, so people might want to go and have a drink or be with their families and stuff. Thank you so much for joining to have this discussion.
Oh yeah.
I really did think, could I sneak in one more live stream before Christmas? And when I did, I immediately thought of you because I started obviously following you on Twitter because what
Uh-huh.
happened, I'm sure a lot of people do this as well. They Googled, is Die Hard a Christmas film? And then they're like, oh, this data science, this guy did it. That's brilliant. And then immediately found you on Twitter.
Yeah, I love your stuff on Twitter as well. Because Power BI is really up there in my interest, and
Yeah,
data visualizations and all that
it's
stuff.
good fun. It's good fun.
Yeah.
It's still not as cool as Die Hard though. But thank you for taking your time up so close to
Oh
Christmas
sure.
and
Oh
joining. It's
sure.
been very good fun. People in the chat and who have joined us, whatever. I think I even did it on Instagram for the first time, which didn't really work because we're like this kind of little weird rectangle down the middle of the screen. But anyway, Merry Christmas if you celebrated. If you don't, enjoy the rest of December, basically. And I'll be back in the new year because I'm taking a break now because I want to. And it's been a lot of fun. See you in 2024. And yeah, yippee ki yay.
Yippee ki
See you later, everyone. Bye bye.